I have this very simple privacy-focused visitor tracking API that was built using Droid. And what I'd like to do is add a new feature to this so that we can track when visitors are most active throughout the day and show this with an activity timeline heat map where the darker squares show peak times and the lighter squares show the off-peak times. So we're going to do this inside the Droid CLI. So I'm going to open up my terminal and I'm going to run npm run dev to make sure the server is actually running. And I have my links here to the demo page that we were on, the API as well. And then in a new tab, I'm going to spin up Droid. The first thing I want to do here is go to model and switch this to Opus 4.1, which is my preferred model for thinking and planning. And then with Shift Tab, I'll shift all the way around to spec mode, which is research and plan. So we're going to ask Claude to plan out this feature to build us a activity heat map based on visitors to our site, just to make the widgets a little bit more interesting. And it can be optional, hidden, whatever we want it to be, but just try and add this extra feature. So here I've written the prompt, which is explaining the entire feature that I want to build without too many technical details. I'm going to leave that to Droid. So I just want to add a new and simple feature that can track when visitors are most active. And instead of the URL in the existing widget, we want to have a show activity link that can be clicked, and it will drop down the widget to show a grid, just like you would see on Github. I'm asking it to show some details with a tooltip when users hover over any of the individual squares, and I want to make sure that it matches the existing style with mostly white, gray, and black, and using a monospace font. All of the technical implementation of how this will be built, which new endpoints, maybe database migrations and things like that, will all be handled by Droid. So the first thing Droid is going to do is explore the code base and try to understand how the current widget works. Once Droid knows how the code base works, it's then going to design the data model to track this hourly visitor activity in our Superbase database. The specification that Droid is proposing keeps the existing database as it is. We already have a timestamp, so we know the hour of the day when the page event was triggered, so we can use the existing schema. It's proposing a new endpoint, API/activity heatmap, and then it can aggregate existing page event data by day of the week and hour. Then it proposes updates to the widget to show the activity with a drop-down, the SVG-based heat map, all the features that I asked for. So this is a very simple approach that reuses existing data, maintains the clean aesthetic of the app, and adds these insights without too much complexity. So we're going to hit proceed with implementation. At this point, Droid has everything it needs to go out and create the API endpoint to fetch this activity data. And I'm going to go allow low impact commands, which means that file edits and read-only commands will be allowed. So it can just create all of these files for me. Now that the API endpoint is built, it's going to go out and create the grid with the SVG squares for the heat map so that we can show this on the front end. Okay, it just skipped a bunch of steps and did it all together, which is great. It's now going to test the complete heat map feature by making sure this compiles and can be built properly with no errors. The server's running. It's now testing the endpoint. And we can now open the demo in a browser to see if the widget is working. Now on the demo page, we have a new option on the widget, this activity link, which if I click it, will open up the activity for the last 7 days. And we can hover over these and we can see 2 visits between 10 and 11 and 1 visit between 11 and 12, all of them me in different browsers just testing this. So Wednesday is the busiest day, a total of 2 unique visitors this week, and 10 is the peak time. This doesn't look great because we don't have a lot of data. So I think what we could do is spin up another Droid to backfill some dummy data to make this look a bit more interesting. So let's start a new Droid. And for this one, we'll use GPT-5 with high reasoning. We'll switch to spec mode, and then we'll ask it to create a plan to backfill this data. So here's my prompt to ask it to basically plan out how we can backfill this data. I've taken a screenshot of the existing widget, which I can paste with Control V, and you'll see that that's been added there to the context as well. And we can now let Droid, using GPT-5 with high reasoning, plan out how to do this. The plan that Droid has suggested is to create a small TypeScript script to insert synthetic page events into our database using Prisma. And it has some sample code here of how to do that. So before we proceed, we can go to settings here. We'll change the reasoning level here to low because we already have the example script that we need. And then we can ask Droid to proceed with the plan. Now that Droid has run the backfill script, if we head back over to our demo page, we can see the activity has changed. We have 300 here, 123 visitors are active now. And if we click activity, we'll see a different report. 11 o'clock is now our peak hour. We can see through here. 300 total visitors this week, and Tuesday was our busiest day overall. And that's how you can use Droid as a co-pilot to add new features to your app in any IDE using the command line interface.